Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and I'm really excited to give you a preview of some of the private stock items that will be releasing this Friday, September 30th at 12 p.m. noon Central Time. Everything that we're about to look at, including this first Shell Cordovan belt, will be available on our website, ashlandleather.com, on the private stock tab. So here we go. It's the first of its kind Amaretto Shell Cordovan 3-piece belt from us. And there's a couple special things that we're doing on our brand new Shell Cordovan belt. These are not yet ready to release as production. We're just a little bit behind on our production schedule, but I do have two available here today for the private stock. They're both an Amaretto Shell Cordovan. Here's something that we're doing a little bit differently. So we have Shell Cordovan on this side, and there's actually 3 pieces of shell stitched together that you can see here. We also have our teardrop shaped holes on the adjustment side end, and on the back side of the belt we find this to be a really compelling story. This is actually the horsehide strip that was originally used when Shell Cordovan first came around. In 1905, when Horween Leather Company was making Shell Cordovan, this leather was used to sharpen and hone straight razors. And that sort of became a thing of the past when the safety razor came out. But what they used for those razor strops was Shell Cordovan on one side, and they used the horsehide on the other side. So on the shell side, you'd be able to use this to sharpen the blade, and then you would be able to hone down the blade on the strip side here. This is the horsehide strip on the backer. These are also really, really thick and substantial belts. And to give you a look here, just how chunky thick these are, they're roughly like 10 to 12 ounces thick, which is slightly thicker than our normal unlined belts. So we do have 2 of these belts available. One is in a 35 inch, but I mentioned the sizing here. That's 35 inch to this middle hole, so you get a huge range of coverage. And I think the other one is a 37 inch. Now let's have a look at some of the wallets that will be available in this private stock drop. I wanted to start off with our new fan favorite item. These are the vertical Bugs Moran, where you can see the card holders are oriented a little bit different than what we normally do on the Bugs Moran style. This one here is absolutely amazing. This was my favorite from the batch. There's something about this particular finish, and this is the skip finish shell, that really strikes me. It sort of has this color fade from more of a burgundy, dark brown, a little bit of red in the center, and it fades down into this orangey tan shade on the bottom section, almost like this piece is on fire. So Skip Horween, when you see this, we definitely are interested in more of the skip finish shell. They're all a little bit random and unique, which makes it perfect for private stock. And on the inside of this vertical Bugs Moran, we have cigar shell Cordovan on top of whiskey shell Cordovan. I should mention there are 4 card slots on each side, but there's also 2 hidden card slots, one underneath each of these 2 stacks. But wait, there's more. We actually have a couple more skip finish shells to look at. Check this one out. Really intense sort of figuring. I don't know what else to call this finish effect that Skip, I believe he hand finished this onto the leather. Turned out really great. So we have that same sort of color range from the burgundy dark brown shade down to a little bit more of an orangey tan. And on the inside of this one, we have the same thing here, but we've alternated the color. So we have whiskey on top of cigar shell, and I have 2 more skip finish shells to look at. Vertical Bugs Moran. And check that out. Another one with the dark brown burgundy of that colorate stain down to a little bit more of a natural color here. And here's a look at the inside of this one. We have cigar on whiskey this time. And the last Bugs Moran here, also in that skip finish shell. This one's extra special because it has the lot number stamped into the top of it. This is actually the operator for the shaving process at the tannery. They stamp in their initials to get their piece rate. And this one is really great. It sort of has a linear streak right in the center here with a little bit of orange peeking out on the top left where that 4 is. Here's a look at the inside. We also have whiskey shell Cordovan on top of cigar shell here. And we have a couple more vertical Bugs Moran to look at. Check out this piece. Marbled ultraviolet, and it's really, really striking. Such a vibrant and vivid color that this ultraviolet is, and then when you marble it, it sort of gives it that nice little bit of gradient, that color range down to more of the natural sort of orangey undertones. We also have a complementing ultraviolet stitching on this one, which matches very nicely. Here's a look at the interior. We have marbled blue shell Cordovan, and here's another one of the same makeup, but a little bit different. Each piece of marbled shell Cordovan is totally unique, so we do have 2 of these available, and they'll be individually listed on the website. And here's a look at the interior of both of them as well. The one on the right is a little bit lighter. And here's another great vertical Bugs Moran, and one of my favorite looks. This is the tumbled natural shell Cordovan. So you can see that tumbled pattern little bits of figuring in the leather from the tumbling process. And what I love about the tumbled natural shells is how much it opens up the fibers of the shell, so it develops an incredible patina, especially in a light color like the natural. On the interior here, we have marbled ultraviolet again on top of some more tumbled natural. And here's a great one in my favorite shell color. This is Amaretto Shell Cordovan, same color as the belt from earlier. Really vibrant orangey tan shade here on the Amaretto shell. And these do darken sort of naturally, just like all the other light color shells. Everything becomes a little bit more golden brown and darker just with normal use. On the inside, this is what makes this one a little bit more unique. We have 2 single card slots, one on each side, as well as a hidden card slots underneath. And here's a great piece of natural shell Cordovan for this vertical Bugs Moran. I'll spin this one around so you can see the range of color that pops out. And as I spin this leather around, the fibers in the shell are pointing in a singular direction, so it's reflecting the light at different angles. So it's kind of like a suede where it gets a little bit lighter at some angles and then a little bit darker at other angles. Beautiful piece of natural shell here. And on the interior, we have reverse natural on top of more natural shell Cordovan. And the last vertical Bugs Moran, this is the black Chromexcel horse butt. It's very, very dense and firm. And I'm actually kind of surprised that we're able to get leather thin enough for the interior of this vertical Bugs Moran. It's pretty tough to get thin pieces of shell Cordovan. And then when they're making the work shoe butts, those tend to plump up, get a little bit thicker even. So it's kind of special to see a thin horsehide interior on this vertical Bugs. And one last one to look at. This is marbled black shell Cordovan with an incredible orangey tan streak that is sort of horizontal in the center of this piece. And then it gets a little bit darker, more green, more forest green towards the edges. Really beautiful piece. And on the interior, we have reverse black shell Cordovan, which is a greenish shade. It sort of matches nicely to the marbled black on the exterior. We have a couple smaller accessories to look at. This is our keychain belt clip in natural shell Cordovan. We thought this one would look great with silver hardware, which we normally don't do, but this one turned out really nice. And we have an Apple Watch band, also in that marbled black shell Cordovan. And I really like our Apple Watch bands because they're unlined. They tend to be a little bit more comfortable and really wearing great because there is no backing and no stitching on this side of the leather. And then on this piece of marbled black, it has a really great range of color from that more green, sort of forest green, down to more of an orange tan on the undertones. And here's another piece of marbled shell, but this is marbled color 8 shell Cordovan on a 20 millimeter 2-piece strap. And this is our regular length. So this length here is 120 millimeters and this length is 80. So fit together, it should fit most people's wrists. We also make a shorter length, which is 105 and 75. And we have 2 valet trays that we don't normally see. This one first is a piece of natural football leather. So this is the same texture as all the footballs we've been seeing during the college and NFL games, but it does not have any of the color put on top. So you can see the unlined side, the suede side on the inside of the valet tray with the textured pebble pattern on the outside. And one more valet tray to look at. This is a piece of black Chromexcel, really sleek luster. Nice polished look on the black Chromexcel. This is also stained on the flesh side, but the reason that this one is a private stock piece is it has a Horween measuring machine stamp on the center. And I have 3 minimalist styles to look at. This is a Frank the Enforcer and a variation on the famous Chromexcel leather. This is a leather called Natural Plainsman, so it has much more grain character than the normal Chromexcel. This does not have that polishing done to it, so we do see a little bit more texture, but I just love the color of the Natural Plainsman. It also has a really nice feel. So this Frank the Enforcer will be going up on Friday, and I know there's a small little group of people that have been posting in the Ashland Leather Patina Masters group about the 2-shot card case. It seems like there's a really strong following for the 2-shot over there, and this one is ultraviolet shell Cordovan on the front with violet shell Cordovan on the back, and then we hand stitched this 2-shot with a contrasting yellow stitch. And here's another personal favorite of mine. This is the Gus card case. So this is a flap closure with no snaps, no hardware to keep it closed. We're relying on the veg tan character in this leather to hold its shape for you. So every piece of veg tan in the world, when it gets a little bit wet and formed into place, it tends to stay that shape. So this wallet was originally designed with that in mind for the closure, as well as being a little bit wider than most of our wallets. We designed this one to fit and accommodate business cards, which are a little bit wider than normal credit cards. But of course, this will also fit regular credit cards as well as cash. And here's a look at the outside. This is reverse Amaretto shell Cordovan. This one's extra special because we have the Horween shell Cordovan stamp along with the Horween USA measuring machine stamp on the outside. Let's have a look at some fat Herbies. What do you say? First one up here is a remarkable piece of inverted black shell cordovan. This is a color that we don't see very often, and it's a really interesting look. If you're not familiar with the inverted shells, the way that they make this is they flip the leather backwards and finish it on the reverse side. So what ends up happening is the shell side here, that smooth, bright, shiny side, ends up with all the random dye marks that we normally see on the reverse shell. So we've been calling it inverted, and this particular piece of inverted shell is really striking. All the contrast between those darker black sort of greenish shades down to a little bit more of this golden natural shade is really awesome looking. On the interior of this one, we also have more inverted black shell cordovan, and we have black hand stained edges. And here's another Fat Herbie shell cordovan, natural shell cordovan this time. Really bright, shiny luster. Very nice piece of natural shell here. People love the natural shell for how it develops patina, and this wallet we designed with patina in mind. So natural shell on the outside, which we're wearing great, but also reverse natural on the interior, which I prefer for my interiors of wallets. Here's a fun combination. We have black chrome excel on top of a leather that we don't see very often. This is Whiskey Cavalier. It's a variant on the Chrome Excel leather that's a little bit drier, so we're able to get more vibrant colors on the Cavalier Chrome Excel. And the whiskey here is it's sort of like a orangey, yellow, golden shade that's very nice. On the inside, we have the same look here with black Chrome Excel on top of the reverse side of that Whiskey Cavalier. Here's another fun one, Horsehide Stone Latigo. This is about as gray as it gets on a veg tan leather. You tend to not see very many grays that are naturally appearing in the leather world, and that's because gray is tough to get with all those tree barks and oils. You can get a gray by fully painting the leather, but then you lose all the natural character. So you can see very much an aniline look and an aniline finish on the stone horsehide latigo. And here's a look at the inside where we have more stone horsehide latigo for the card holders. And the last Fat Herbie is the inverse of what we just looked at. We've got Whiskey Cavalier Chrome Excel on top of black Chrome Excel on the outside, as well as Whiskey Cavalier card holders on the inside. And here's a look at the little baby brother to the Fat Herbie. This is a wallet we call the Tony the Ant, which has the same aesthetic as the Fat Herbie. It's just shrunken down in size, so it's a little bit more easy to fit in your hand. Where the Fat Herbie, so we'll compare these two together. Fat Herbie's a little bit taller. It's about the size of a passport if you have one in handy, just to look at the size reference. We have another stone horsehide latigo here on the Tony the Ant this time, and here's a look at the inside. And one more Tony the Ant to look at. I love the look of this all reverse color 8 epic dye splatter on the outside here with a Horween shell cordovan stamp just peeking out the center, and on the inside we have more epic dye splatter on reverse color 8 with the color 8 shell cordovan, the normal piece of shell in the center. All right, let's have a look at some Capone money clips. I love this one here, and it's sad for me to say that it's an irregular. This is inverted blue shell cordovan. On the Capone money clip, we have a contrasting hand stitch on the outside, and it's in a really nice color. This is our orange hand stitching that a lot of people are really drawn to. We used to get a lot of requests for the stitching after we made it on a couple wallets. The reason this one's irregular is we've got a little bit of a crooked stitch on the spine here. This one also has some black hardware for the clip. Let me give you a look at the inside because this is beautiful. We have the inverted blue on the left and right card holders, as well as the blue in the center. This is the side that the tannery finished, and then we've been flipping it backwards to show you more of those drip marks on the inverted blue side. Here's another very striking Capone money clip. This is marbled ultraviolet with a Western texture on top of blue with a Western texture for the outside. Really cool look on this particular piece of marbled Western shell. Here's a look at the inside. We have what I love, the reverse on one side. So this is reverse ultraviolet on the right. And then on the left, we have Western marbled ultraviolet. A lot of words here, but this one will wear in great. And let me slide in some more Capone money clips. Next one up is green shell cordovan on top of natural shell cordovan. This one's also irregular because we've got a little bit of a beveling issue on the outside right here. Here's a look at the inside, more green shell cordovan. And this is sort of the inverse of that. We have raw natural shell cordovan on top of green shell cordovan with a cream stitch. And on the inside, we have more raw natural shell cordovan. And this one's also made with the money clip to come in through the top, which is a little bit different than what we normally do. Here's another one. This is tumbled verdigris shell cordovan on top of tumbled natural. And that tumbled verdigris is very neat looking. It's sort of a pale green shade. Very, very neat. On top of the tumbled natural, which gives you a good look at the texture of how the tumbled shells appear. Here's a look at the inside, more tumbled verdigris and a little bit smoother texture for the inside of this one. And we have a couple more color combinations of the whiskey and black, although this time it is black Dublin on top of Whiskey Cavalier. Before it was black chrome excel. Here's a look at, again, on the inside, black Dublin on top of the reverse side of that Whiskey Cavalier. And here's the inverse. We have Whiskey Cavalier on top of black Dublin. You can really see the grain character in the black Dublin, especially compared to the chrome excel we're looking at. Very flat and smooth on the chrome excel, and there's a heavy amount of grain character on the Dublin. Here's a look at the inside, Whiskey Cavalier on top of the reverse black. And the last one, I love this color combination. This is color number 8 Dublin. In the color 8 Dublin, we're trying to match the same color as the color 8 shell Cordovan, but just translating it to steer hide leather. So we do get a lot more texture and figuring in the color 8 Dublin. This is sitting on top of some natural latigo. I love the way that these two look together, especially with the complementary cream stitching going along the outside. Here's a look at the inside. Same combination here with color 8 Dublin on the left and right, as well as the reverse side of the natural latigo in the center. We're about to get into some of our most popular style here, the Johnny the Fox. But before I do that, I noticed we have one of our traditional Bugs Morans with the traditional card layout on the inside. This one has epic figuring. Just check out this texture as I sort of shift this around. Really epic pattern on this black shell Cordovan, and this is something we don't often see, so this is a very unique and special piece. We paired this one up with a reverse piece of black for the inside. This is all very nicely color matched. Now let's get into the Johnny the Foxes. Here's a wallet that I'm really happy to see. This is a 100% natural shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox, and these are incredibly challenging for us to get. So the inside of this wallet, we have thin pieces of a rare color that are equally rare. So to elaborate on that a little bit, every piece of shell Cordovan is a little bit different in terms of color and texture, but also in thickness. So every now and then we get shells that are a little bit thinner, and even in that whole shell, not every section of it is appropriate to use for the inside of this wallet. So we have to be very patient and slowly accumulate natural shell Cordovan to make a wallet like this. Every piece is thinner than normal, and they're very rare and tough to get. And we have to pick thin leathers for this wallet design because there's so many layers. So if you look at the cross section here, so all those layers of leather, if we're using the normal thickness like we use on the exterior of the wallet, it just gets way too bulky. So it's very special for me to be able to see this 100% natural shell Cordovan Johnny the Fox. Another Johnny the Fox here. This is in Dublin this time, so we get exceptional grain character on the Dublin, and this is a color called brown nut. Much darker than our English tan, definitely more of like a coffee brown. And here's a look at the inside where we've matched the interior card holders on horsehide to the brown nut Dublin on the exterior. This is also brown nut Dublin on the inside, but made out of horsehides. Here's another special treat. This is a 100% natural chrome excel Johnny the Fox. But recently it's become very difficult to get thin pieces of natural chrome excel for the inside. So this is probably our last 100% natural chrome excel Johnny the Fox that we'll see for a while. And I have two special marbled green shell Cordovan Johnny the Foxes. The first one here, it's a little bit more of a subtle marbling, but you can definitely see that color range from the darker green shade of the green shell down to a little bit more of these orangey tans of the natural base tannage color. This is a special piece. Here's a look at the inside. We're going to make it extra special. We have thin 1940s calf skin for the inside of this Johnny the Fox. This is a leather that was tanned by Horween in the I believe it was 1941, and it's just been sitting there in the tannery ever since. So we've been slowly making special little treasures out of it, and it's perfect for the inside of the Johnny the Fox. So here's a look at the second of the marbled green shell Cordovan. I'll compare it to the first one. This one has a little bit lighter, more subtle contrast on the outside here. It does range from the same green shade, a little bit more of a pale green on this one, to a little bit more of these orangey tan shades, and then the inside, more of that 1940s calf. All right, here's one I'm also very excited about. Raw violet shell Cordovan, and this has a really cool contrasting gray stitching around it. It's almost like a light purple stitch, which looks great. And I love raw shell Cordovan, especially a raw violet like this, because it's going to develop a great patina. Definitely brighten up in luster just with normal use. You can see it starts off with a little bit of a sheen here, but it's nowhere near as bright and shiny as a normal piece of polished shell. So you will see the luster go more towards this direction. Here's a look at the inside where it's extra special also. We have raw violet shell Cordovan on the card holders, and then the inside center here, this is the reverse side of some more violet shell Cordovan. Two more wallets to look at. We were able to find some more thin green shells, and these have become very popular with people that are into the Horween leather wallets here. Green shell Cordovan with a contrasting cream stitch, This is where it's extra special. Again, we've got 100% green shell Cordovan, so we're able to find some thin pieces of green for the inside of this drawing of the fox, as well as on the last one here, another 100% green shell Cordovan drawing of the fox. This time we've got the matching green stitch inside and out, gives it a really, really clean look. And here's a look at the inside. Some more of those really rare pieces of shell. And of course we hand stained it also with a matching green stain that turned out great. So thanks for checking out everything in the private stock video today. I'm gonna have to come back to some of the skip finish shells here. Check that out. Really cool work, Skip. Coming up with these unique looks on the shell Cordovan. I'm really excited to be able to offer them to the world finally. So hopefully you're able to make us some more, Skip, if you're hearing this. Everybody else, you can find everything in the video you saw today on our website, ashlandleather.com, at 12 p.m. Central this Friday. That's September 30th at noon Central Time again. Sometimes the time zones get confusing for people. But thanks again for checking it out. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. And until next time, hope you have a good one.